patch time. So remember that bodgy weld that was under here? Looks worse from underneath. There's a couple of holes across the top here. This is patch number 1. This is patch number 2. Patch number 3 is that hole here that lined up with that patch that I did underneath it there. Around the other side over here, we have a few smaller patches. I'll just bring the car around so you can see them. Already got patch number 4 in there. 5 and 6 of these 2 small ones here. There was a few weld holes, like a few pinholes in this, and then when I looked, there was just lots of surface rust that had been sandblasted or media blasted away, and it just looked like crap. So I thought best just cut it right out and be done with it. So I'll show you what I did here. Put the light back down here. Let's have a look. So if you look here, you can see I made this masking tape patch. So I ran some tape across this way, ran it back that way, then ran it back across again. So it makes quite a rigid patch. You can see there. So when I go and take it over to a bit of steel, I'll just stick it down to the steel and do exactly what I did here. I traced around the outside of it before I peeled it off, and it left my outside line of this patch size. So when I do a little patch piece, I'll do the same thing. So you can see here, a couple of holes here, big bodgy weld here. There's been pinholes here. Someone's had a go at welding it, and they've just bashed it in and welded it. So there's patch number 2. Patch number 1 already peeled off. I've marked it here where the little pin is. You can see what's under there. That's the rust under there. So my patch is way longer than the hole. The same here. My patch is way bigger than the hole. And patch number 3 here, which I haven't traced around yet. You'll see now I get the old Sharpie. I'll go on the outside of this line, just using the edge of the tape as the guide. Hopefully my hand's not too far in the way there for you to see. There's my pin line for my little lug that holds my my trim on. So here we go. We'll get this. Stay there. Get this little patch off now. Come off from the edge. I don't want that to happen. I want to peel it from as all one piece. There you go. So there's patch number 3, and there's my fold line that you can see in it there. That's how the patch is going to look. So there's those 3 patches. Over here too, I'm going to end up patching these holes here. I had another look at them. There's a few. They're not that bad. There's a bit of surface rust marks here, but it's been media blasted away. I think I might still try and weld in those, because I'm trying to keep as much of this original metal as I can, because it's quite thick. The newer patch is like 0.1 of a millimeter thinner than this original stuff, so keep the original steel as much as possible. Once I've made all these patches here, once I made these patches, welded these bits up, made the other patches, welded them up over the other side there, finished off the panel. I'll do a bit of panel beating on all these joints here. You can see how I'll take you down to show you. You can see how all of these, there you go, you can see all these edges here like this, where I put the chisel in there and lifted it up, or where I've levered it before, or I've drilled the edge a bit too far. Once the patches are in there, I'll fix all these up. I'll be able to panel beat them back down again. You can see it pulls back down exactly, you see that hole there, exactly over that hole, which is the perfect situation. So you know this panel is going to go back in exactly the same spot as it came out of when I cut it out. Right here you can see where I stuck all the little templates on a bit of steel. I'm just going to cut this straight across the bottom here, save as much of it as I can. Right, I'll cut these small pieces out now. closer. You can see outside of them all the time. Like on this one here, you can see outside of the edge. Oh, we'll dress them up and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so there's the pieces trimmed up. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, that's one side. And 4, 5, 6 is the other. Tack there. Where's my tack? Ready? Hold on. That's that patch tacked in. I will now tack the other one in, this one down the front here. See if we can't get that started. All right. So while you're at it, flip the panel over. Don't forget to grind up all the back here, because any welds that are along here sit on the edge where I spot welded it off. Remember how close this area was here where the other rust had occurred. So this isn't flush. You won't get the panel all the way down. You get a lump at the top when you try to put it on. And around here you've got to grind it and smooth it off too, because this is where it sits in around where the window goes. So I'll just there you go, that's how the panel looks from the back. They're replacing bead. Obviously you don't have to get it that sort of neat. Just make the back as neat as you're willing to put in the effort. But again, any welds along here need to be smoothed off. Any welds along here need to be smoothed off just because of where they fit. Along here, you could probably leave these ones along here. I took them out just to neaten it up, and it's going to help me planish. It's got a rocker in this, and it's got a bit flat just right there. I'm going to get that rocker sort of shape back in it again. And all these welds around here have to be all flush with the side, because they're going to fit back in up against the top of that channel up there where the other repairs were done. I'll finish grinding off all this surface rust stuff here. Knock my beer over. Okay, you can see that's that panel ground up. I'll zoom in a bit for you. There you go, you can see that's how it looks. It's where the rust was on the top here. This is that new corner on it. This is that new section down here. And again underneath is all sort of linished up, ready to be primed. And I'm probably going to, so this never rusts again, I'm probably going to put raptor bed liner underneath this, especially up on these back corners up here. And I'll just mask off where I'm going to do the spot welds for the panel, and leave it at that. Right, you can see here now I've got on the other side, I've got these 3 patches I'm going to do here. Minimal rust on this side. This one here, you can see where the rust was, must have just sat down in the gutter there under the windscreen. Rusted from the top, from what I can see from the corrosion, not from the bottom. So I made this little patch. You saw me make it before when it was flat, but you can see here all these little bite marks along here where the shrinker grabbed it. Well, it's actually the stretcher along here. Then you see there's a couple of heavy ones in the middle there where I went a bit too far with the stretching and turned it too much. I have to straighten it back out again. So that fits really neat in that little patch down that little hole there now. I'll cut that out. These other 2 here, I've already marked them for this pitting and corrosion that's down here. I'll cut them out, tack weld them in. Same as the other side. I won't bore you with all the cutting and welding and grinding, but yeah, it's I'll show you when I'm done. Right, that's the 3 patches installed. You just there's that one down there. There's the other 2 over there. So those 3 are done now. I'm just going to dress those welds up and prep the back as well, so there's no none of the penetration that's sticking out, so I can actually make sure it fits nice and flat. There you go, that's the back of those 3 patches. I'll just push it down there. So there was a patch there, and the other one was in that up in that sort of channel at the top over here. Or is it over there? So they're done now. The other side over there, patches are ground on the back, cleaned up. Now I will flip this thing over, dress the welds on the top of it, and there you go. That's when I had the big patch in the side there, the little patch in the front, the small patch right there. I've got to drill a spot weld hole there to replace the one that came out. And over this side, this one had that bottom section through there replaced. You can see it's got a spot weld missing there where I replaced it. And it's had these two patches put in the front over here. So, and like I said, that's pretty much done. I'll clean that up tomorrow. It's a bit late now to start banging and clanging. I'll get it on the bench, dolly all these edges down, dolly all the edges at the top there. Give them a quick go over with the grinder with the little Scotch disc on it. Once I've done that, like I mentioned, I'll then go through, give this corner a sandblast and this section here a sandblast or media blast. I'll wire wheel the rest of this out, and I'll grind off all these little. You can see I've ground off these ones here already. These ones here I haven't. These little pucks that are left from the spot welds. Not sure how we're going to do this, but I noticed that there's a lot of this seam sealer type stuff. You can see it around the top of the windscreen here. It wasn't underneath here, but they must have, once it was on, they must have squeezed seam sealer into the top of this gap here to try and stop moisture from coming back up on here into the car. So I'm not sure how I'll be able to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually be able to get up under the dash here, like right up. Remember that dash hangs out over the top here like this, so got to get right up under that edge there with something and fix it all up. So I've also got to grind up these welds in here before I put it all back on. I've got to dress up this grind up this weld down here as well before I put it all back on. Same on the other side. So still probably maybe 4 or 5 hours of work left in it. So I would say this is probably the work I've done under the cowl, the work I've done on the cowl. I reckon this is probably a 20 to 30 hour job. Would have been way quicker to cut that cowl off, just cut this thing straight off, get rid of all these spot welds along here, because the same spot welds along here go through to the firewall and the side of these panels here. The lower cowl, I think they call these the lower cowl leg. That's the inner cowl or lower cowl, inner cowl leg. So yeah, but again, this piece down here was probably $900. That piece there was probably $900. So nearly $1,000, nearly $2,000. At the moment, all it's cost me is time. So if it was a panel shop, I would say to them, cut the lower out, cut the upper cowl off and just replace them. $2,000 for the parts and probably maybe less than $1,000 for labour. But as it stands, you're probably up for about 3 or 4 grand to do these repairs and put them back on. So I guess it depends whether you're time poor or money poor. What you would decide. I'm not money poor, but like I mentioned, I just want to try and keep as much of this original steel as possible. It's quite heavy gauge, so I'll just salvage what I can, wherever I can. Righto, so the cowl, or plenum, whatever you want to call it, it's all cleaned up, ready for priming and some satin black to go on it. Not sure if you noticed in my last video, up in the sort of corners of the video up here, it was a bit hazy. I couldn't work out what it was, and I just took this off. This is the actual, because I was filming this with my phone, this was the actual lens protector. So somehow I dropped this thing and smashed the lens protector. Took it off, picture's much clearer now, so that's good. So I'll give this a prime. I've already got the weld through primer on there, and I'm going to paint everything else that doesn't have that with primer and then black, satin black enamel. Alright, that's how it looks after 2 coats of primer. You can see around the edges here I've still got the tape covering the weld through primer, and along the top here where all the spot welds are. But yeah, that's it's in my low bake oven. See what I mean? It's just like some halogen lights here. I put them on for 10 minutes before I give it a coat of paint. Now I'll probably leave it on here for another half an hour to an hour or something. I'll move the lights over to this side, make sure she's all dry before I get the black onto it. It'll be nice and warm, and paint will be cured by then. So yeah, that's how it's currently looking. Right, that's the first, like a dust coat put on the bottom of the plenum, bottom of the cowl, whatever you want to call it. I just realised I haven't finished rust treating inside the lower plenum, lower cowl yet, so that's all I had enough paint to mix up, was just to get this first coat on here. It's been primed, first coat of satin black. I'll hit up the panel shop tomorrow out at Wishart's at Unanderra there. I'll purchase some more satin black and some thinners and stuff, and I'll get enough to finish doing this. I'll do all inside the cowl there as well, get it all welded back together. I'll also get enough satin black to do underneath the car as well. So once all this is done, and the lower quarter and sill on the opposite side is done as well, I'll get it all in satin black. That way I should be able to roll that chassis back underneath it. Just to give you some idea of the tools I used to clean up inside that cowl or plenum panel. First I hit it with the wire wheel on the angle grinder. Then I got into some of the harder to get places with the smaller wire wheel on the drill. And then some of the smaller places again with the next size down wire wheel. Then I have this, and it's like Black Ridge or whatever it's called. It's a little Chicago Air. Little pneumatic finger sander. Getting some tight spots. Then I use this little pneumatic 90-degree sander. That's like a brown Scotch pad on the end of that. But first I use this black one on the end of it. You can see it's threaded. They just twist off on the end of here. When you twist these, they come off. I don't know if I can do it one-handed here. Yep. I twist that, see how it comes off. It's got a thread inside there. And then you just get the one you want to put it on there, twist it in. It tightens up as it spins. That's like a little black Scotch pad on there anyway. And then when I finish with that, I give it a quick sand over. This is like a Cubitron. This is 60 grit, this one. But I think it was a used one when I used it anyway, so it wasn't exactly 60 grit. It was quite smooth, but it gave a nice surface finish for the primer to go on the panel. Like I said, that's only its first coat. I've got to give it second coat, maybe even 3 coats, and then work on the inner plenum or inner cowl when I get some more paint tomorrow. But yeah, just so I can show you the tools I use. I had to get the dolly out. I just use this dolly. Has a couple of good edges on it. You can see it has a nice low radius on that side there. Bit of a crown on that side. You sort of hold this side against the panel. Bought a couple of new hammers. These were just, I think it was about 40, 50 bucks or something. This one was in, these were both in Total Tools. Total Tools? Yeah, Total Tools. I think it's like 49 bucks and 59 bucks or something for the hammer. But they got a couple of good faces on them. Nice big flat square face on that one, round face on that end. But it's also flat. You can tell I haven't struck a blow with that one yet. This is the one I used. This is the one I used on the panel. There's a couple of little bent bits in the back of these little lips here. I had to see this little lip. It was a bit rippled there. I had to straighten it back up. So when I painted, it was all in good nick. So yeah, just a bit of a look at the tools that I used when I was doing it. Something else I've been setting up as well. I'm notorious for just chucking crap on the ground like I've got it at the moment, but copped a bit of a serve from the missus. She said, tidy your workshop up. It was a bloody shambles. So I picked up this little Daytona tool trolley. I've got so now I just keep all my clamps and stuff down the bottom there, all my Clecos and other clamps here. I keep all the hammers and dollies and stuff in the middle with any of the it's just my cheap Ryobi stuff that I got at the moment, just sitting in the middle there. All my hammers and dollies and stuff in there as well. These gloves should be down the bottom here. And at the top here, I just keep all my sanding stuff here. There's the jigger or the sander, a couple of discs, all the different sanding tools that I got. There's a little pneumatic Recipro saw, a little straight pneumatic grinder. There's the bigger version of that little finger sander. That's that size, just to show you the difference. There's the little baby one beside it there. Yeah, so I'll just keep all this stuff up there while I'm not using it. And all the ends for these sanding bits and stuff here. When I purchased them, I just had them sitting around in boxes and stuff. So I went into Bunno's, grabbed myself a sausage sandwich and a can of V. And I bought this box. I just keep all my stuff in here. Just keeps it nice and neat. So, like, because these cutting discs are so small and so thin, they're like 1 millimeter thick. So if you leave them down, they break really easy. And I showed you before in a video, one of the previous videos, that one of these discs could cut off this entire sill and come back and dress all the welds on it. So they really last a long time. I think it was like $50 for 50 discs or something on Amazon. These were all Amazon purchases as well. They're not like a top brand one, but there's these blue, red and brown Scotch discs here. The brown's coarse, the red's kind of medium, and the blue is a finer Scotch disc. You can see on the top there, like a scouring pad. These are all the miscellaneous things here, so I keep all the little spanners and other little arbors and stuff, and other little grindstones in there. In here I've got 60 and 80 grit 60 and 80 grit sanding discs that go into those little arbors. Up here I've got 120 and what have I got in there? 120. Oh, they're all 120 discs. This one I've got 180s and 180 and 240 grit in here, a lot finer. This one's where I keep the Scotch disc. There's a little mini flapper disc, and these ones are like you put them on there, you can polish off stickers and stuff with these things, or you can also use them for polishing chrome and bits and pieces. So yeah, I just thought it'd be a good idea to keep all that stuff in there together. So like these discs that I got here now, I'll put them in this section here with used ones, but everything I keep in there, I can keep this lid closed, lock it up, and I can just pick it up and use it wherever I want to use it. So it just kept things tidy. I had these in one box, these in another box, they're just everywhere. So I thought if I keep them all together, made it look a lot tidier and easier to access and harder to find, and I'm not breaking all the stuff either. So you can see they seal off pretty well, so even if I tip it upside down, they all just go back into their spot there. So now I'll just put all these tools, because I'm packing up for the night, I'll just put these tools back in the trolley, and so everything's where it's supposed to be, and I don't get in trouble off the misso again. Yeah, everything back in its place. Alright, we're on the inner cowl, or lower plenum, whatever you want to call it. I've got some Deoxydine here, got a little bit of surface rust starting up here that I'm just going to treat before I put some rust converter primer on it. So what I got is I've just got a red Scotchy here, got the Deoxydine poured into a little container. Make sure you put some gloves on when you use this stuff. Just wet it down. You want to keep this wet for a fair while, before a good 10-15 minutes while it's doing its job. I've already sandblasted all this area over here. I'll just give it another hit. And just want to convert this rust so it's not going to give me any trouble. The stuff I bought to fully tidy it up with is it's a rust converter primer. So that's nice and wet there now. I'm going to give it a good scrub with this scourer. Make sure it's right in there. Like I said, make sure you wear some gloves. It's some bad stuff, this. So give it all a good soaking. I'll go to the other side. Actually, I got a little bit of exposed metal along here too. I'll just get that done as well. I'll turn the camera off. I'll do the other side and I'll come back when I've re-wet it. Wait 15 minutes, let it all soak in, rinse it off, dry it, and then I will be able to give it a prime. Okay, I've done the deoxidizer on there. It's you see how good that come up. Cleaned off all the other rust. It's got a nice finish there. I've sanded all the middle of the plenum, plus the other side over there. You can see how the other side's come up pretty good over there too. So what I got now is I just got this. It's just like a single, like a 1-pack, not a 2-pack, like an enamel rust converter primer sealer. I'm going to spray all that now because this stuff actually gets into that rust and really stops it from coming back. So I've cut out the major rust. I've deoxydined all the surface rust. Now I've cleaned it off and dried it. I've done a Prep-Sol wipe over the whole thing. Now I'm going to give it a rust converter primer sealer. I've got all the edges taped up where I don't want the weld through primer affected by it. And we'll give this a go and seal it off. Make sure when you're using aerosol cans that sometimes that ball's stuck in the bottom. So after you hear that ball stop rattling around, they recommend you go for another 5 minutes on the can to make sure it's fully done. And you can see in the bottom, I don't know if you can see, you see lots of dints in there from the ball actually hitting it when it goes up and down. So give it the last little bit here and I'll give it a seal. After I've sealed this off, I've got to wait 3 hours for this to cure or dry. And then I'm going to spray some body deadener in here. Just so all these top corners are sealed off, all this bottom is sealed off, so that anyone that gets this car in the future, this part of the car will never rust again. The rest of the car will be probably gone before this ever rusts again, so keep that in mind. You want to preserve it forever for the next person. Get it down that pipe. So that's it now, fully encapsulated. You can see that looks pretty good. That'll dry. I think it dries like a satin sort of colour. But that's all I need, that one coat to seal it off. When it cures, like I said, I'll give the top corners another quick once over. But you can see it's kind of really got in there and sealed that off well. You can see all that repair work. So this panel's been replaced, that bit there's been replaced, that's been replaced down there. New drain hole put in there. The other side's had the same sort of repairs over there, plus a weld somewhere in the middle here to do on that hole. So I'll let this stuff tack off now. I think the body deadener, this stuff says if you're going to let it dry, you need to let it dry for 3 hours. But the body deadener stuff says you need to let this stuff tack off. You don't want to get fully cured or fully dried. It needs to adhere to something. So with paints, you either need a chemical bond, which is wet to wet, or not fully cured to not fully cured, or you need a mechanical bond. So what I mean by that is, here's the underside of the cowl. So you can see here, I've actually scuffed this up with a Scotch pad, so it's all nice and what's that bit of tape down there? Nice and rough. So on this, because it was painted yesterday and it's dried, this won't get a chemical bond. This will get a mechanical bond. That's why I've sanded it, and I'll get the body deadener on there. I don't want these corners to ever rust out for anyone again. So anywhere that it's had repairs before, like under this area here, I'll give it a heavy coat all the way along the side there where I gave the where I fixed the rust, and up in the other corner over there where I fixed the rust, and everything else you just get a light dusting of the body, didn't I? So this thing has its tape around the side to protect where the weld through primer's got to go as well. So as soon as I've finished coating this, I will remove that tape. Here you can see my baking booth again. A couple of halogen heat lights. You can see the stuff starting to dry. Actually, I thought it dried satin, but it dries matte black. So here's the product I'm using. Car Builder's TXT coating. It's a 1K texture coat, so I'm going to give it just a light dusting of it just to protect it all. A bit heavier in the corners of the cowl, upper and lower cowl, plenum, whatever you want to call it. So that's the stuff I'll be using. Right, so there's the product connected up to the gun, and now we're going to give that a spray. Okay, that's one coat under there. You got to give them two coats. So I'll now go and do the cowl, and then we'll come back to this one. Okay, let's give the cowl, lower cowl a hit. Bloody tape. Alright, that's one coat. One coat on both. I'll give it 20 minutes or so. I think it only takes 3. Actually, the other one down here has already been 3 minutes. I'll get that going already. Okay, so that's how it looks. You can just see the faintest little mark right there of where that patch was in, but that's the back side of it. You can see there it's got that that bed liner protection on it. All the weld through primer is all in place there. There you go. How good does that fucking look? Then we've got this area up here, which is we had that repair done there. That's all fully encapsulated now. We had a repair done just here somewhere, and that one down the bottom there. So that stuff is sealed away forever. New Never going to rust again, not in my lifetime anyway. Have a look around the other side there just to see how it's all finished off. There you go, have a look at that. There's that area there, all fully encapsulated. All the weld repairs all done, everything looking schmick. That's how you do a repair that's going to last forever. You spend a bit of extra time on it, spend a bit of extra money on it, and it comes up unreal like that. So there you go. So what I also did was I got underneath the dash, and you can see I gave it a bit of a bed liner stuff underneath here too, where all the repairs were around that pipe. Where's the pipe? There it is there. And all the welds and stuff all the way along the dash, right across the other side there. That's fully sealed off. Even if it had a problem on the top, it's now fully sealed from underneath. So that's like that layer plus that layer plus that layer. It would leak. It wouldn't leak even without steel there. So there we go. That's ready to reinstall on there. I just need this stuff. It's still a little bit tacky in some places. I just need it to fully tack off tomorrow. It actually says on the can that it's flammable, so I don't want to start welding while it's still a little bit tacky. I'll wait till it fully dries and cures tomorrow, and then we will weld that back on. So I had some bed liner left. I just thought, give that whole dash area. You can see some spot welds down here where the where I welded this new floor to that chassis brace. You can see it's fully welded up across the top here. On the outside up there, it's welded spot welds across the top. Same over that side there. You can see all under the dash, everywhere under there is sprayed with the bed liner. One thing that's important to mention, make sure you get the masking tape off before the paint dries, because this stuff, you can hear it's only been down for like half an hour and it's already starting to tack off pretty hard. So you don't want to try and pull that tape off while it's hard. It'll probably pull the paint off. Let's get that bit of tape off there. But yeah, it's anywhere you don't want the weld to be affected by this stuff inside. Put the weld through primer on there. When I lay this piece on top, you're going to see these old scratch marks here. So some of these I drilled pretty shallow, which worked pretty fine, and some of them I drilled just a little scratch mark further, because this, remember, that's the firewall, that's the inner cowl or inner plenum, and then that's the outer down there. So anywhere that these holes are going to line up perfect. Up here on the window as well, you see a few marks where I drilled them. They can line up perfect there, line up all around the side here perfect. I'll be able to get every one of them lined up exactly in the right spot. So when I put this back on, it will be excellent. There you go, that's how it looks. It has a coat of the epoxy sealer. It has a coat of primer. It has a coat of black satin, then rubbed back. Then it has a coat of the the bed liner, the whatever that was, car makers or whatever that brand was, bed liner on it. Then it has two coats of satin black. The same with the lower cowl here. Has exactly the same stuff on it. It's looking pretty schmick. That would, if you plug those holes there, you plug those holes in these holes here, this thing would hold water forever. No more rust for this HQ. Alright, as you can see here now, I actually have the cowl, plenum, whatever you guys call it. I call it the cowl. I have it just held back on by some little vice grips. It's just clipped on at the moment, but as you can see here, by doing what I did by drilling the hole to release the cowl panel, which is part of the plenum, I also scored the bottom, which is the lower cowl or plenum area, and you can see, so when I put it back together, I have a line, that ring, my big fat finger out of the way, you can see there, that inner ring that you can see in there is how I line this thing back up. And you can kind of see, no matter where I go, I can pick that point. Let me just roll this back over a bit this way. There you go, you can see this is the opposite side. You can see in that one right there, that's perfectly aligned. There you go, you can look down these ones here. The hole is aligned. And what I've got to do is, but you can see, I don't know if you can see in here, I'm about 3mm away, so some of these ones here I'm going to put a tack screw in and pull this. This is the lower windscreen panel, so when this all gets welded, when this gets welded back in across here and across the top there, this has to be pretty close because it can't step out like it does there. So I'll get a couple of clamps in here, clamp the corners down, I'll get that fillet weld back across the corner. I will tack screw this back down, pull these in. You can see it's actually aligned. Like there's, if I get it on a bit of an angle here, you can see how there's the panel behind. If I go the other way, you can see the same thing. There's the panel. Where is it? There's the panel behind. But if I come up in line with it, you can see that is perfect alignment straight through the bore there. So obviously that was one where I drilled the hole and it was wrong and it went straight through the second panel. So I'll put some copper behind that and get that fully welded in. But yeah, all these other ones you can see, if I line them up, there's the holes lined up there. And I'll pull that in. But at the moment, that's how it sits. It just sits. Ouch, smashed my freaking head into it. I'm not sure if you can see, but these ones here are lined up, perfectly aligned as well. And as I clamp it down, it'll be tight, but what I got to do is I can tighten. I don't know if you can see that long rod there, it's a bit dark. That's this long rod here where it's fixed here, but down there that nut on the firewall is loose. So when I tighten that up, it will pull this panel in. When it pulls it in, it will line up this part of it with those holes in there where the windscreen lines up, and everything will be perfectly aligned. I'll get it all nice and smoothed out. Once I've done that, they'll be all welded in. These will be welded in. I will grind them back, make sure it's all smooth. Shit, it needs full power, full feed. Just welding for too long. Righto, that's top of the plenum, cowl, whatever you want to call it, welded back in. You can see all these sort of rosette sort of welds that I got here. Across the front here is a bit harder because the spot weld was overlapped. Like you can see the firewall, the lower cowl and the upper cowl there, where I cut those spot welds out was halfway across. And you can see there's a couple of spots here where you can see down the side there. You can see there where I've actually missed the side. So I'm going to dress all these up. There must be hundreds of them. This one's a little bit messy. That one happened here, but I think there was 3 holes in a row there. I've missed the side of that one down there too. I'll have to fix that up as well. There'll be a few of those like that. You can see here where I had to do the fillet weld across the top. It was just like bzz, 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 just like spot welds just to get that happening, because this panel's quite thin. This one's quite solid. So I was targeting all my heat at this panel and just letting it blend into the side of this. Around this side over here, you can see all the welds done, same, all the way across the top. And then I've got all these ones here. Oh, hit my head again. These ones here across the front of the dash. And that's where they go there. They're all in place now. Good panel. I can feel a few lumps out the back under here. There's been good penetration through them. But yeah, it's all ready to grind back, so I'll start grinding. Dress up. Right, that's how it's currently looking. All this bit here, I ground each one of these back, like you can see there. I ground them lower than that with a little disc grinder, and you can see down the side here. See how this one's overhanging the side? Where is it? That one's overhanging the side. These ones here you can see I square cut along with the grinder, so the edge was right. And you can see all on the side here where you can see the 1, 2, 3 skins there. So that double line's got to stay all the way around. I've got to patch that. I've got to patch that weld there. There's a little bit missing off the corner. It's really nice along the side here. Obviously I missed that hole there. And it's really nice and smooth around here too. I just got to dress up this edge a bit more. I get seam sealer put in anyway, but you can see over the top here, I've left a little bit of the weld there. I'm only going to leave that much like it was. It was a full bead down here because the pillar cover goes over the top of it, and the dash comes right. The dash comes right up to here, sort of thing, you know. So you don't actually see it, but I just got to dress that little bit of weld more in there. Right, we're starting to, I've ground off the top of all these welds on here. You can see where I ground them down, just ground them down with that little, I don't know, you've got like a little pencil grinder, die grinder with the little 3-inch cutting disc on it. Just took the top off the welds. Now I'll go through with this, the Old Faithful, and I'll just lineage all them, clean it up so it looks like this, so I can sand it up and prime it. There we go, that's done. You can see here, all these spot welds were ground back the same way. All those ones along there the same. I'll get a little Scotch disc now and polish these up. You know, they look pretty good. I'll blow all the dust and stuff off, and then I'll get it Scotch Brighted back, and I'll give it a coat of primer just to make it last until I'm ready to do the rest of the bodywork and paintwork on the car. Right, here's my tools of choice here. Got the little 90-degree die grinder with a Scotch disc on it. I also have a 5-inch grinder with the Scotch Bright disc on it. This will polish up really good. Leaves a nice little surface finish ready for a bit of paint, just for primer. I don't need it to be too gritty because I'm going to sandal this primer off anyway before I paint the car. That's it all cleaned up, ready for paint. Just not paint, just a coat of primer, just to keep the rust off. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Righto, that's the cowl on, finished. The etch primer on there at the moment. It's a bit wet still. Actually don't want to open the garage door, it'll just drip some dust and crap on it, so I'll leave it till it tacks off. There's the cowl finished. But all in all, happy with that. It's come out really good. I'm glad I saved the original dash. That's it done, installed, fixed inside. Like I showed you before, it has the Raptor bed liner inside. It has the Raptor bed liner inside here, right up under the dash. I'll clean that up, and there you can see where the welds are, like I mentioned. Good penetration. All right, that's the cowl finished. That sill there's done. The lower quarter's done there. Like I said before, the floor's done. I'm going to tackle the sill and the lower quarter on the other side. Don't need to film that again, but that'll be done. Okay, that's a finished product. That's the end of the cowl replacement. Pretty bloody good. That's where all those welds were done along the where the windscreen sits. All these welds along here. When I do the paint, when I do the actual spray putty or primer, I'm going to put some marks in, like some spot welds there, just to get it looking original. And that, my friends, is how you replace the cowl or plenum chamber on a HQ. Using all the original parts, obviously. Next step, not sure if you remember earlier in the first video when I was cutting it off, cutting out these patches, the little pin here, I'll see if I can zoom in on it, the ones that hold your stainless clips on, either like that one there or the one above it there, those clips there, one of them was right where the patch had to be. So from my measurements I took from the previous one before I cut it off, was 160 millimeters between these pins here, right? So the next one had to be 160 millimeters along here. So I got the, it's a bit hard to see there, but I got the, this is what, a 500 mil, 600 mil rule. So I got it, I bent it around the radius to follow the shape. I marked my, I'll go this angle so you can see, I marked my 160 millimeter or 16 centimeter mark, which you can see right there. Measurement from the front face of where the glass fits to the center of that pin is 8 millimeters. So I marked up 8 millimeters, and there's my cross right there. Right, that's where the mark's got to go. I've done the same on both sides. So from there, to replace it, you have to get, oh, I'll show you down here first. Down here is my, that's my, I don't know, was it Resto spares or Rare spares or whatever one of them had. They sell you a full kit of all the bits you need. In that kit, they don't give you the drill bit, but in that kit you get these little, actually I don't think it's in there, I think I bought them separate. You get these little rivets, and if you notice this rivet, this top piece up here, if you looked at it that way, that top section there and that next section down there, that bottom section looks like the spot weld from when they welded those other pins on, and the top bit is the bit that goes into the clip for your windscreen. Where have I got in here? I've got it somewhere. There we go. So that the top clip there, when this windscreen clip goes on, it goes on, slides over that head when it's on your car, and as it slides across this way into position and locks in, you can see how it pulls down through that groove and it locks into position there, right? It's actually quite tight in there now, but these are the clips that actually go around the front of your windscreen there to hold your trim on. So I'm going to drill, put that clip back so I don't lose it. Oops, wrong side. Just remember, you can get those clips in like the black anodized, or you can get them in the zinc coated. I mean, black anodized is how they came from factory, which is why they rust so bad. But the newer versions are zinc coated. So when I put these on, I put the zinc ones on so that it doesn't corrode as much. Less chance of having issues with it in the future for the next person that potentially buys the car. So same clip but two different styles. So what I'll do now is I will drill the hole in there. This was, I think I measured this was like 2.7 something millimeters. I have a 2.8 millimeter drill, which I'm going to drill into. I'm going to drill into that mark, then get a bit of center pop, and I'm going to drill it in. Then I'm going to pop rivet that into the front of there. Before I pop rivet it in there, I'll probably spray a bit of primer around the hole just to trim it off. I'll spray a bit of primer on this, put it in the hole, pop rivet it, so when I pull it tight, it'll be sealed by paint around the hole. When I'm finished, I got to do a bit of touch up under the dash under here for the Raptor bed liner. But when I'm finished, I'll get a hose and I'll shove a hose up under here with a Raptor nozzle on it, or actually I might go through the vent hole in the bottom and spray it up underneath there. What I'm trying to achieve is I want to try and fill this whole bottom section around here where that rust was before. I want to fill that whole section there with bed liner so that whole bit's sealed off. So it's quite solid, but there's still a slim little gap up right around that corner there. So I want to fill that so it doesn't get moisture and dirt up in there again. I'll do the same both sides, and that'll be complete repair. So right now I will drill these holes. You might not be able to see what I'm doing, but I'll just move the camera to the side. I'll leave my little spare clip up there. Get my drill bit in there, ready to go. Got the center punch here. Put it on, there's them bloody dogs again. Next door neighbour's dogs, man. Jeez. Put it on the mark there. Give it a little center pop mark. Not sure you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here, but anyway. I'll turn it down if I can, just to be able to drill it easier. And then I'll readjust the camera. Put that in the sill there. Get around there. Let's see if you can see it better from this angle now. Alright, so now I'm going to drill in that centre pop hole. After I snapped the bloody drill. I think that was the only drill bit I had. Let me find another one. Let's try that again. Hopefully I don't break this as my last drill bit. So. Got to remember also to vacuum out or blow out inside that edge there, because inside there is just all the dust and dirt and all the metal debris and stuff which is up inside that bottom corner. I don't want to get it stuck in there. So that's the hole drilled. That's the rivet that's going to go in the hole. And now if I show you how it looks right there. There you can see how the rivet is in, and you can see that pin there and that pin there. So I'm going to put a bit of spray paint on there. I'm going to put a bit of spray paint on here. Then I'm going to pop rivet that in so it seals itself off. There you can see that paint's a bit wet there. I've got paint on the end of this rivet I put in the hole. There we go. That's it, finished. I'll just wipe off that excess paint there now. Just because I've got to sand it all off later anyway. It's only a bit of etch primer just to protect it. So, but I don't know if you can see around it there, but that paint is sealed tight on that now. So when I finish, I will put that hole in the end of it there. I don't know if you can see it there, but that hole in the end of it, where's this tripod? That hole in the end of it there, I'll put a bit of filler in that hole just so it seals it off like these other ones. So that's that side done. I'll go over and do the other side. It'll be exactly the same job. Okay, here's the other side. There's my mark. 160mm long and 8mm up from the face. Centre pop mark. Don't break the drill, Sully. Nice and smooth there. Ouch, that was my head. Just give that a bit of a excessive hit of paint so it's runny, so it seals. Get the pop rivet gun, get it in the hole. Oh, this one's already half pulled. I'll get another one. Just to show you what my issue was there. In that same packet, you can see that one there, but this is what the other one looked like, right? So there's a couple of different variations in there. So this one was the size I measured for the drill hole, which fits in there. The other one doesn't fit, so I'll give this one a bit of a liquid paint around it. Spray that again, third time lucky. Put the rivet in the hole. That's the first bit of pull. Second one is knocks it off. There you go. That's how you replace the pins on your trim holders or brackets or connectors or clips, whatever they're called. There you go. Finished product. That's the trim clip pin installed. I hope you enjoyed that little bit. Yeah, it's I just thought I'd add that into the cowl replacement video because I remember cutting them off, so don't forget about doing that.